Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. We warmly welcome our guests to the fourth convocation of the Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture. You are requested to be seated as the convocation procession will begin promptly at 10 a.m. The convocation procession will consist of a total of 27 graduating students, 9 from the Faculty of Architecture, 12 from the Faculty of Design, and 6 from the Faculty of Fine Arts. This is the fourth graduating class of the Faculties of Design and Fine Arts and the third graduating class of the Faculty of Architecture. In procession, behind the graduating students are the part-time faculty, the full-time faculty, followed by the coordinators and heads of departments. Members of the Executive Committee and members of the Board of Governors will then follow. Lastly, the Chairman of the Executive Committee, Mr. Arshad Abdullah, will escort the keynote speaker, Mr. Wahajuddin Ahmed Kirmani, and the Executive Director, Syed Akil Bilgarami, will escort the Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Ahmed N. Jaffer.
The design for our convocation robes is based on the abba, which was worn on ceremonial occasions in the Mughal courts. The material selected is the hand-loom cotton susi traditionally woven in Sindh. It is embroidered in patterns evolved from Mughal designs. The headgear is a combination of the Mughal turban and the Hunza cap, worn even today by both men and women of the northern mountainous areas. All participants of the procession wear off-white khadi shalwar kameez woven at the school campus by master weaver Abdul Wahid. The theme music for the convocation was specially composed for the Indus Valley School by Sitar Mistro Ustad Imdad Hussain and his son Ikhlaq Hussain. It is based on Rag Darbari and was performed live by them at our first convocation in 1994. Each year, a special exhibition is arranged by the school on the occasion of the convocation. In 1994, it was an exhibition of 64 prominent artists of the city and was perhaps the largest retrospective exhibition in several years. In 1995, we had arranged a unique exhibition of selected works of art from the private collection of Mr. Wahab Jafar. Last year, the faculty of the school had exhibited their work of art and architecture. This year, the school proudly presents a unique exhibition of traditional textiles, the pieces having been loaned to the school from a large number of collectors across the country. Also on exhibition is the selected work of graduating students. The exhibition can be viewed immediately after the convocation ceremony and will remain open until tomorrow, 14th December from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The tradition of planting a fruit tree on the campus by the graduating class will continue this year. The new graduates will plant a chiku tree at the conclusion of the convocation.
Is about to commence. the guests to rise and join our first-year students sing the national anthem. To declare the convocation open.
May I request you to declare the convocation open?
I declare the convocation open.
We begin the proceedings with the recitation of the Holy Quran by Kashif Qayyum Siddiqui, 6th semester student of the Faculty of Architecture.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فتور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب عليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير صدق الله العظيم.
This recitation was from Surah An-Naba, ayats 1 to 17. The English translation is presented by Huma Sheikh, Department of Communication Design.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, ever merciful. Blessed is he in whose hand is the kingdom, and he has the power to do all that he wills, who has created death and life, that he might try you which of you is best in conduct. He is the mighty, the most forgiving, who has created the 7 heavens in order, one above the other. Thou canst not discover a flaw in the creation of the Gracious One. Then look again. Seest thou any disparity? Look again and yet again. Thy sight will return to thee frustrated and fatigued.
The Executive Director of Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture, Syed Akil Bilgarami, will now present the welcome address.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. the Honorable Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Hamid Jafar, the Chief Guest, Mr. Wahajuddin Ahmed Kirmani, members of the Board of Governors and the Executive Committee, the faculty and the graduating students, parents, friends of the Indus Valley. Assalamu alaikum. It is a great honor for me to welcome you all this morning to the 4th Convocation of the Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture. Normally, a chief guest is thanked profusely by an oft-repeated phrase, that is, for taking out time from his extremely busy schedule. However, I cannot say that for Mr. Kirmani, because he is a retired gentleman, quietly pursuing his hobbies at home and sharing with his near and dear ones activities from which he derives much joy and happiness. Therefore, I would like to thank Mr. Kirmani, not just thank Mr. Kirmani for having accepted our invitation, but also to apologize to him for intruding upon his privacy and bringing him out of his blissful existence. Mr. Wahajuddin Ahmed Kirmani retired from the service of the government of Pakistan in 1984 after 36 years of unselfish, unflinching loyalty, dedication and commitment, not towards the then rulers or the ruling elite of Pakistan, but to the ideals for which he stood for and believed in. The legacy he has left behind as the Chief Conservator of Forests and later as the Inspector General of Forests remains a driving force for many of the young officers who had served under him. Long after his retirement, the mention of his name to any forest official or conservationist immediately evokes a response of warmth, affection, and admiration for his accomplishments. I will not go into the details of his achievements, about which I could carry on speaking much beyond the time allocated to this address. However, it would be of interest to you to learn that Mr. Kirmani was the initiator and author of several landmark policies and laws enacted by the government concerning the conservation of wildlife and the management and conservation of forests. And in this connection, he was singularly responsible for establishing the internationally recognized Kirthar National Park, the Lal Sohara Wildlife Sanctuary, and the Indus Dolphin Project, amongst others. He has had the honor of representing Pakistan at many international conferences and meetings. He has worked in Africa on a UNDP FAO assignment and is a recipient of national and international awards in recognition of his work in forestry and conservation, and this includes the Tamgha-e-Pakistan awarded to him by the government of Pakistan. Greatly surprised at the invitation, Mr. Kirmani inquired from me why, of all people, he was being asked to deliver the convocation address. With his permission, I'd like to share with you my answer to his query. I told him that he personifies all the qualities that we at Indus Valley School would wish our graduates to have: implicit faith, commitment to excellence, a high level of integrity, and deeply touching humility. I would also like to acknowledge and welcome Mr. Hamid Jafar, the Chairman of the Board of Governors of the school, who ably replaces his two illustrious predecessors, Professor Karar Hussain, our first chairman, and Dr. Akhtar Hamid Khan, our second chairman, who retired in August this year after completing his 3-year tenure. We pay tribute to them and continue to seek their guidance and blessings. Having graduated 4 batches of students, the Indus Valley School is passing through a phase of reflection, of reassessment of its academics, and a period of consolidation of its gains. In the coming year, an earnest faculty development program will, inshallah, be initiated at each of the 4 departments. Under this, teachers will be sent for training and to obtain higher qualifications at other institutions within and outside the country. Linkages with such institutions are being either developed or strengthened. Whilst feedback from our alumni about placements and performance in their respective professions continues to be encouraging, our students and faculty have contributed immensely towards image building and goodwill for the school through their work. In the Communication Design Department, a brochure on environmental issues was designed for the Khan Housing Board by the 5th semester students. Greeting cards were designed for Habib Bank AG Zurich by the 4th semester students. Illustrations for Sunte, Bolte or Sochte Janwar, a book of 29 short stories for primary school children, commissioned by Feroz Sons publishers, were done by the 6th semester students. Commemorative designs were made of various items for the celebration of the 50th year of independence by Kashan Nasir and Hiranis. Logo design and other promotional material, signage, etc. for the exhibition and seminar on traditional textiles by the students, alumni, and faculty of the department. The coordinator of the department, Mrs. Nilofar Farooq, has been invited to present a paper at the Afro-Asian Conference in Lahore later this month, Afro-Asian Philosophy Conference in Lahore later this month, and has also had the honor of writing a chapter on 50 years of painting in Pakistan in a commemorative book published in the UK. 15 students of the Textile Design Department, accompanied by the head of the department, Mrs. Shahnaz Ismail, attended workshops and an international symposium on shibori, the Japanese art of resist dyeing, at the National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, in January this year. Designs of 2 students, Farah Dastur and Farhat Jamal, were bought by Muhammad Farooq Textile Mills and printed commercially. A 3-day international seminar on textile designs, convened by Mrs. Shahnaz Ismail and co-hosted by the Goethe Institute and the Indus Valley School, was successfully held earlier this month. Scholars from Germany, Sweden, Finland, India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, along with textile design students from NCA, the Fashion Design Institute, Lahore, and from the Indus Valley School, participated. The seminar proved to be a great learning experience for the students. An accompanying exhibition of traditional textiles brought together from private collections from all over the country is on at the campus now. This outstanding exhibition has been a tremendous success, attracting hundreds of visitors daily, including children from various schools. A craft bazaar was also held for 3 days last week on the school grounds, visited by a large number of eager buyers. The textile design students and faculty were fully involved in these events. As always, the faculty of the Fine Art Department has been active throughout the year. The coordinator, Mr. David Aylesworth, arranged the showings of artwork of the faculty at the Coconut Grove Gallery, and himself was involved in the setting up of a large installation at the Frere Hall Gardens for Alliance Francaise and the Goethe Institute on the theme Promised Lands. He has also been lecturing to groups of school and college students daily at the Hindu Gymkhana, the venue of the British sculptors exhibition entitled The Changing World, arranged by the British Council. Incidentally, the exhibition was put together with the help of students of our Fine Art Department. Ms. Meher Afroz, our senior faculty, has had a major solo exhibition at the Chaukhandi Art earlier this year. Faculty and alumni Asma Mundrawala and Huma Mulji have been conducting research and collecting data on Pakistani art and artists for a CD-ROM to be released to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Pakistan. The Department of Architecture has a very large visiting faculty who bring to the class rich and varied professional experience. A majority of the teachers are successful practicing architects and engineers, which is why field trips and site visits are an important part of the students' training. In May this year, the 8th semester students went on a study tour of Delhi and Agra with their design studio in charge, Mr. Tariq Hassan. Trips to historical sites and towns within the country are regularly undertaken. The students also participate in live architectural design competitions. The head of the department, Mr. Shahid Saeed Khan, is actively involved in the conservation and revitalization of Manora. A continuous stream of visitors and practicing professionals from within the country and abroad have conducted workshops and delivered lectures at the school during the year. The school has also received distinguished personalities, ambassadors and representatives of several countries. Joint projects such as exhibitions, lectures and workshops are regularly organized at school with the assistance of the foreign missions. Very recently, Ms. Helena Perhintupa, a textile designer from Finland, who is an authority on traditional textiles of the subcontinent, having lived in India for 19 years, visited Karachi for a fortnight at our invitation to review the textile design curriculum and gave some extremely useful input after extensive discussions with the head and faculty. Her entire trip was funded by the Embassy of Finland in Islamabad, to whom we are most grateful. As a non-profit, non-commercial private institution, Indus Valley School does not receive any financial assistance from the government. The cost of the entire campus, including the land and whatever equipment we have, has been met with through generous donations from private sources, both individuals and establishments. It is therefore a great disappointment that government support is entirely lacking. They have failed to provide the basic services which even the smallest of institutions are entitled to. You will be surprised to learn that even after 4 years of having moved to this campus, the Indus Valley School, a university under charter from the government, has not been given a permanent electrical connection, does not have a fresh water pipe connection, nor does it have a sewage connection. It is only recently that we have got access to piped gas. The school has done its best under the circumstances to ensure that our students and faculty do not suffer in any way on this account. Some of you perhaps are not even aware of this. For those who may have been affected, the understanding and acceptance of these realities is greatly appreciated. I have a few words for the graduating students. The convocation marks the beginning of a new chapter in your life. From the sheltered confines of the school, you are about to enter a world troubled by conflicts, irresistible material gains. Be aware and selective. In your profession, put forth the very best and nothing else, nothing less, because you have the capacity for doing so. Never stop learning. You can attain the loftiest heights from knowledge. Take pride in what you are, but always remain humble. Maintain your values with dignity. Share your knowledge and spread the light across the world. I wish you the very best.
May I now request Mr. Wahajuddin Kirmani to deliver the convocation address.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, graduates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Grami, thank you very much for the kind words you're speaking. You almost paralyzed me. All I can say is, बड़ा मजमा है मक्तल में इशारा कर दो अबरू का नहीं तो आज राज़े इश्क तस्तज़बाम होता है. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been trapped under the circumstances beyond my control. The pleadings of my utter ignorance regarding art and architecture were brushed aside. My captors decided to bring me here before you to stage a display of my ignorance. That explains my presence in this distinguished gathering, to which obviously I do not belong. It might have been somewhat under that sort of predicament that the poet moaned, "Hum kahan ke dana the, kis hunar mein ekta the, besabab hua ghalib dushman asma apna." Some people believe that they can learn a great deal from fools or from their mistakes. It is certainly an acknowledged fact that we can learn from each other, irrespective of their status. It is also an undisputed fact that there is no end to learning. That is a stimulating process and continues at all ages and stages. The great pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. True perfection is achieved by those who are prepared to destroy. It is a byproduct of greatness. In order to illustrate this point, let me mention a relatively recent experience, personal experience. It was my good fortune to have been afforded an opportunity by Mr. and Mrs. Belgrami to visit this great institution in their company. I found what an impressive building you have. I was also told how a beautiful, old, crumbling stone building in the old city was purchased, brought down stone by stone, and would be rebuilt on this campus. All this has yet to come about, but you can be legitimately proud of the fact that even the outdated and obsolete lift of 1916 will be commissioned into service. This feat of professionalism has astonished me. How gratifying it was to learn for the first time that the artist and architect have the genius to demonstrate, to dismantle and then reconstruct the four-story structure and literally create history. The meanings of Iqbal's couplet became all the more clear in my mind. Guftarumi harbinai kohnaka bada kunand minadani awala bunyadra viran kunand. Said Rumi, that don't you know that you have first to demolish the old foundation if you want to raise a new edifice. Having learned this lesson in twilight years of life, I wondered that might you not be interested if you were offered some fragments from the lessons learned over the years in my life. This may also help me getting my release that I desperately need. You would perhaps forgive me for placing at your disposal a small bag of my harvest so that you neither get unduly burdened nor bored. Should you fancy some of these fragments, please feel free to use them as you are on the threshold of embarking on a career to shape a new life. There are no gems of wisdom to offer, but a bouquet of flowers collected from various gardens is here. Alas, nothing is my own. Iqbal's couplet again may express this better. औरों का है प्याम और मेरा प्याम और है इश्क के दर्दमंद का तर्ज कलाम और है. In relating to you what life has taught me, it seems appropriate to begin from the time I was in your age group. In life, it sometimes happens that one's education, using the word in its widest sense, is influenced by some great upheaval in one's circumstances. Such upheaval took place at the death of my father, rather at an early age. The experience was devastating, yet it proved a turning point in my life. That was when I felt definitely I came into a new relationship with God. It was at that time that Iqbal's poem written at his mother's death made a great impact on my mind and stirred the soul. I consciously felt what Iqbal might have experienced. गम जवानी को जगा देता है लुत्फ़े ख्वाब से साज ये बेदार होता है इसी मिज़राब से. And elsewhere, condoling the death of his friend's wife he consoled him. एक भी पत्ती अगर कम हो तो वो गुल ही नहीं, जो खज़ां नादीदा हो बुलबुल वो बुलबुल ही नहीं. Earlier to this event, there was the famous wartime speech of Winston Churchill inspiring his people, which also excited a raw youth. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. In the voyage of life, long or short, the experiences are as varied as the people, and so are the hopes and despairs worth relating to others. Life has its complexities, ups and downs. One faces rough and smooth. There are sorrows as well as happiness. Without these ingredients, life must remain incomplete. The chief and far-reaching lesson drawn from my experience in life is undoubtedly the reality of God. But before proceeding further, let me hasten to assure you that you are not going to hear a religious sermon, lest anyone might be tempted to lodge a report against me as happened with a poet. रकीबों ने रपट लिखवाई है जाके थाने में कि अकबर नाम लेता है खुदा का इस ज़माने में. I must, however, frankly admit that subsequent experiences in life reinforced and strengthened my beliefs. I was surprised that Henley's lines quoted by Churchill were also from the teachings of our faith. Soon after that upheaval, I found myself embarking upon a voyage heading for the United Kingdom for studies. At the university there, an altogether new way and pattern of life had to be adopted. These years added new dimensions to thoughts and new vistas opened up. I acquired the knowledge of a profession which was to bring me in close contact with Mother Earth and proved to be a pleasant occupation. Apart from the formal education, one learned a great deal about those who ruled us. Apart from the formal education, one learned a great deal about those who ruled us, whose pride knew no bounds, who boasted that the sun never sets on the British Empire. Ironically enough, I was still in Churchill's island home, destined to witness the British Prime Minister who presided over the liquidation of the British Empire. What was believed to be a remote possibility suddenly became a reality. The subcontinent won freedom, and Pakistan appeared on the world map with a bang. Iqbal's poetry, which was blood-warming, took a definite shape and form. बंदगी में घट के रह जाती एक जुए का माब और आज़ादी में बहरे बेकरां है जिंदगी. A teacher who often taunted some of the faltering students persistently repeated, "Oh laddie, God help your country," and I know he won't. In the field, he propounded a strange but humorous philosophy of his own. He said, "Oh laddie, excuse me, a bad throat." In the field, he propounded a strange but humorous philosophy of his own. He said, "Oh laddies, I know why Muslims do not eat pork and Hindus do not eat beef. In the tropics, pigs are dirty animals and eat filth. Their meat in the hot country becomes contaminated, stale, and injurious. It is indeed dangerous to eat pork in your country. But here in Britain, we look after our piggeries with utmost care, rear the pigs in clean environment, specially prepared food is given to them. In this small country, we do not have a big pasture or rangelands to raise cattle and sheep for meat. Pigs can be kept in small enclosures. They breed profusely. Each litter has a dozen piglets every year. At 6 months of age, a piglet is fit to be killed and eaten. The bacon and ham and pork is very delicious. So please rest assured that in Britain you would not suffer from any disease as a result of eating pork, but back home you must refuse to eat it. Once you taste our bacon, ham or pork, you would cease to like any other meat because it is absolutely devoid of fibrous muscles. As for Hindus who do not eat beef, it is very rational custom because bullocks plow your agricultural lands. If you were to kill cows for beef, you will ruin your agriculture. In Britain, we use horses for plowing our fields, and now tractors have replaced horses. So while Hindus live here, they will be perfectly justified to eat beef. Laughable or amusing as these ideas of Professor Lyford Pike may appear now, he certainly demonstrated that he was blessed with matchless flights of imagination. He did not spare his fellow Europeans either. He taunted them that he would much rather prefer a good Muslim to a bad Christian or a good Hindu to a bad Christian. With such humor, he surely lightened the burden of serious classroom studies. Another professor who taught Indian and colonial forestry was accustomed to harp on his favorite theme, which he loved repeating off and on. He said rather crisply, "We civilized the Indians, of course we did." He had spent considerable time in Indian imperial service. He was admired for his brilliance, but detested for his imperialistic arrogance. Professor Stebbing and Lyford Pike were poles apart and disliked each other. Mr. Chairman, sir, kindly permit me to a little digression from the text to tell our young friends that there was indeed a lighter side of his student life, typically British. At occasional gatherings, there used to be plenty of fun, singing and dancing too. A song mentioning a small motor car of those times called Austin 7 was rather interesting. Here is a sample for you, which I hope Mr. Ashworth will tell you how to sing. I will not sing. Mr. Ashworth could guide you in that. Take my counsel, O wise man, and sing a song if you can, for you can't reach the heaven in an Austin 7, but if you reach the heaven before I do, just bore a hole and pull me through. Another delightful song was Money is the Root of All Evils. But now we know it was not frivolity, but has become an absolute reality. Thank you, Mr. Chair. despite all the despite all the European glitter, the years spent at Muslim University Aligarh were still fondly remembered, where every teacher was an ideal, a hero, held in high esteem, who inspired us to struggle and attain freedom. In Britain, one actually learned what freedom was like in form, practice, and shape. The thinking, the outlook, the way of life of a free people was totally different. It was most humiliating to be asked by a German prisoner of war, who became a daily companion at lunch break on a field tour, as to how could 400 million people be ruled by just 50 million British. He had fought on the Eastern Front against the Russians. He got sick of killing Russians who came in swarms like flies, and his ammunition exhausted, his machine gun became much too hot to handle or fire. He escaped to British side, preferring to be their prisoner rather than of those savages. The sheer numbers, he said, brought defeat to the Germans. He wondered why we could not eliminate the British from our country in a similar fashion, by the sheer weight of our numerical superiority. There was no answer one could give, but a deep anguish made me restless, bringing Iqbal's couplet to mind again. Az gulami fitrat-e azad ra ruswa makun, ta turashi khwaja az barhaman kafir-tri. Do not debase your inherently freedom-loving personality through serfdom, and let not the Brahman convert and carve you into a kafir. One felt keen and anxious to obtain the degree and get down to more serious business of life to serve the new country. फिर ये गौगा है कि ला साकी शराबे खानसाज दिल के हंगामे में मगरिब निकल डाले खामोश. At long last, an auspicious day like this one dawned, and Sir John Fraser addressed the convocation. I could not even dream then, and indeed up to this time, that you would, Mr. Bulgami, Mrs. Bulgami, manage to corner me and place me in that enviable position, Sir John. God is great. Blessed be the guardians of this institution, and blessed be the Bulgamis. So ended the golden era of studentship. One got flushed with excitement and hopes to come to a country which all too suddenly earned a name and fame. A special charter flight brought Pakistani students to Karachi. It was a homecoming beyond description, because there was no home. After knocking around in Pakistan Government Secretariat for a couple of days, the orders were issued for joining the service, and the stranger found himself to be an officer in Class 1. The prestige attached to officerhood, the admiration shown to one who possessed a British university degree, the passive submission displayed by the subordinates combined to produce a sense of embarrassment. The high salary it is what then considered was less than half of what we pay now to our sweepers. Nevertheless, as a bachelor, one earned more than one could spend, and one enjoyed having freedom in using that money, an experience unknown before or since. There was a painful, agonizing period of adjustment with the pattern of lifestyle established by erstwhile British rulers. The class consciousness, the conceit of his status, the arrogance of power and authority were distasteful and vexing for one like me, who had a different upbringing, contributing to Islamic values as Iqbal had portrayed. Sarwari zeba faqat uzzat be hamta ko hai, हुक्मरां है एक वही बाकी बुताने आजरी. The black brown sabs imitating the white sabs, the Vaderas assuming airs of Nawabs and princes, and much more. All this appeared much too theatrical and artificial, as well as awfully ridiculous and ironical. Were these the fruits of freedom or making fun of freedom? I wondered and choked within. Fortunately, the lessons learned about the phenomena of mimicry in the insect and animal world came to my rescue. Although much tormented, yet I clearly understood the meaning and purpose of this behavior. As huwe gulami ze saga khwar tari, man nadidam ke sage pesh sage sarkham kard. I have never seen a dog bowing his head before another of his species. But what a pity it is that your slavish mentality has brought you down even below the level of a dog. But now it was a grim reality of coming face to face with a practical world. Any clash with the established system was apt to prove futile. Conflicts and confrontations were likely to inflict harm rather than benefit. So prudence dictated that the safest way was to get on with the duties assigned, jobs entrusted, and tasks set forth. One had to develop an ability of task-oriented efficiency with absolute cooperation of those serving under the command and winning the confidence of those in the chain of command above. The more practical and appropriate advice to follow at this stage was zamana ba tu nasazad tu ba zamana bisaz. It was the world. If the world does not go along the way you want, then you follow its footsteps. Prudence, patience, perseverance, and tact were far better tools in this phase of the career. Rudyard Kipling's much admired poem entitled If, which after reciting a long series of almost impossible virtues ends by saying that if you can do all these things, then yours is the world and everything that is in it. And what is more, you will be a man, my son. Obviously, reaching that pitch of perfection and possess the world remains an unattainable goal. An earlier lesson taught in boyhood was to prove more rewarding. There were 3 men engaged as stone cutters and were at work when a passerby asked each in turn, "What are you doing?" One said, "I am cutting stones." The next replied, "I am earning my livelihood." The third answered, "I am building a school." Now it was open to my choice to work in a mechanical way, earn monthly salary, or with much higher ideal to attain a place of pride in the profession and serve the country too. It was eventually possible to combine all 3 purposes in shaping the structure of both life and society, benefiting oneself as well as the country. The well-known saying illuminated the path. What is worth doing at all is worth doing well. Whatever your hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might. A gentleman whom I had held in very high esteem told me in confidence the secret of his success. He said, "I work as though everything depended on me, and pray as though everything depended on God." I never regretted having followed in his footsteps and imitating his style in letter and spirit. Nothing gave me greater pleasure than working for the prosperity and well-being of the countrymen. The great hopes and expectations were shattered at the upheaval resulting from the assassination of the first Prime Minister and the dismissal of the second, both of whom I had the honor to know personally. They are still universally admired, and their opponents or foes have never been heard accusing them of dishonesty or corruption. The so-called revolution resulting in successive dictatorships and events that followed need not be narrated here. It is sufficient to express that there came around a profound change in the outlook and behavior of all governed services. A terrible decline set in the morals, manners, and values, which was aptly portrayed thus. झुकने वालों ने रफ़तें पाई, हम खुदी को बुलंद करते रहे. At this juncture, a pious, supremely capable, upright, and honest officer provided an invaluable guidance. He defined khudi in this manner. Khudi is individuals' self-respect, feel humbler before the humble, prouder before the proud. That seemed to solve the problems, and indeed it did. The life spent in service at home and abroad offered unlimited opportunities to live with nature in the wilderness and solitude. Living in tents and huts in the company of books and Petromax lamp, spending long nights lightened the burden of professional duties and strenuous work of the days. A wide variety of books, history, biographies, poetry, literature, and all in-depth study of religion enriched my mind and consecrated the soul. The religious faith steadily convinced me as later events unfolded and one had to face the vicissitudes of life, the caprice of fortune, that there are greater forces than those we yet understand in our daily lives. The ever-changing patterns of progress, values of morals and manners, sense of virtue and evil, sorrows and frustrations, peace and happiness are parts of our lives of which we cannot see the full design because our minds are finite. The life so lived in all its complexities has been nevertheless interesting and rewarding. One eventually learned to be at peace with oneself. The point of culmination of an ordinary person like me is the happiness and respect of one's wife, family, and friends. One feels immensely contented if very sound principle is kept close to heart and honestly practiced, which is beautifully expressed in this couplet. Hirs khane neest soib, warna asbab-e maash, anche ma darkar darem darkar neest. The lust and greed is never content with available resources of livelihood. Otherwise, whatever we have already got is also more than we need. And now finally, may I, with all humility, place at your disposal the cream of life. During the long years of professional activism, by far the most important lesson learned was the art of self-protection, which Iqbal has beautifully described. जिंदगी महबूब ऐसी दीदे कुदरत में है, ज़ौक़ हिफ़्ज़े ज़िंदगी हर चीज़ की फितरत में है. Living in the wilds or roaming and working in the wilderness with or without weapons was always hazardous. An element of danger always lurked. There were leeches, scorpions, snakes, pythons, tigers, lions, elephants, pigs, crocodiles, thorny vegetation, and a host of other potentially harmful species to guard against. Even the jackals could attack under certain circumstances. A mouse too would bite if cornered, as the saying goes. Having to work and live in their domain was inescapable, and so learning about their habits and disposition was imperative. Once you get accustomed to such exposure to danger, it becomes a sort of second nature to guard and protect yourself. But human species could be incomparably much more dangerous. If one has carefully learned how to protect oneself from the dangerous creatures, it becomes relatively easier to take care of oneself against the attacks of one's own species. Let it be clearly understood that human species could be more vicious, wicked, cunning, and cruel. It is also important to remember that the female of the species is deadlier than the male. Let me hope I have served you well in forewarning you that about the dangers that lie ahead and the challenges that you might have to face in life. This reminds me of what George Pompidou once said jokingly when he became president of France. 3 things ruin a man, and they are wine, women, and experts. Wine is the quickest way of ruining a man. Woman is the most pleasant way of ruining a man. The expert is the surest way of ruining a man. And Pompidou asserted that he was privileged to say so because he himself was an engineer by profession. Now it is up to you, for you to prove that you can also build the country as strongly and majestically as George Pompidou built France. In the end, let me wish and pray for every happiness and success for the glorious future of our young friends who have graduated. But let them never forget yaqeen mahkam, amal peham, mohabbat fateh alam, jihad-e zindagani mein hai ye mardon ki shamseerein. Chairman, thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you, Mr. Durrani, and thank you, gentlemen. Many thanks. Thank you.
I will now request the acting head of the Faculty of Architecture, Mr. Shahid Saeed Khan, to read out the citation and present the candidates from the Faculty of Architecture to the Chairman of the Board of Governors for the award of degrees.
Sir, I present to you the students who have been examined and have qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Architecture in the Faculty of Architecture, to which I pray they be admitted. Nishat Aleem Khan. Sumaya Samdani. Nazia Akbar Mulji. Fatima Fatima Nayyar. Zainab Afzal Khokar. Afshan Siddiqui. Mubaraka Mohammadi, passed with distinction. Sophia Qureshi. Shaista Khalik. Thank you.
Mrs. Nilofa Farooq, Coordinator of the Department of Communication Design, will now read out the citation and present the candidates from the Department of Communication Design to the Chairman of the Board of Governors for the award of degrees.
Examined and have qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Design in the Department of Communication Design, to which I pray they may be admitted. Farzana Ahmed. Muhammad Arsalan Sharif. Murtaza Nemat Ali, pass with distinction. Sara Omari. Shahbaz Khan Zubairi, pass with distinction. Uzair Adil. Qurratullain Ahmed. Thank you.
Mrs. Shahnaz Ismail, Head of the Department of Textile Design, will read out the citations and present the candidates from the Department of Textile Design to the Chairman of the Board of Governors for the award of degrees.
Sir, I present to you the students who have been examined and have qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Design in the Department of Textile Design, to which I pray they be admitted. Farah Dastur Darayas. Ghazala Malik. Sabeen Rashid Khan. Sadaf Jamal, pass with distinction. Sara Arshad Jilani.
I request Mr. David Aylesworth, Coordinator of the Faculty of Fine Art, to read out the citations and present the candidates from the Faculty of Fine Art to the Chairman of the Board of Governors for the award of degrees.
Sir, I present to you the students who have been examined and have qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Fine Art in the Faculty of Fine Art, to which I pray they may be admitted. Ashin Sajid. Asma Ehsan Khan. Asma is not with us today. Would Seba Marif please come up on her behalf? Fatma Jamil. Kesa Khan. Saba Maruf Ali. Yasmin Mirza. Thank you.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as the Chairman of Board of Governors of the school, I admit you to your respective degrees and charge you that ever in your life and conversation you do prove yourselves worthy of the same.
Academic awards are presented to graduates who have achieved a distinction for their overall academic performance. The minimum passing mark in the final assessment is 65%, which the distinction is awarded to students achieving 85% and above. May I request Mr. Wahajuddin Ahmed Kirmani to present the award to Shahbaz Khan Zubairi of the Department of Communication Design. Shahbaz Khan Zubairi of the Department of Communication Design, who has received 88.78%. Sadaf Jamal of the Department of Textile Design, who has received 87.16%. Mubaraka Mohammadi of the Faculty of Architecture has received 85%. Murtaza Nemat Ali of the Department of Communication Design, who has received 85%. The 1997 Award for Outstanding Research and Dissertation, carried out by a student of the graduating class instituted in memory of Dr. Salimuzzaman Siddiqui, goes jointly to Farah Dastoor from the Department of Textile Design. Murtaza Nemat Ali, Shehbaz Khan Zubairi of the Department of Communication Design. This year, 3 students have each received 93% marks in dissertation submitted for the final evaluation.
I now request the Executive Director, Syed Akil Bilgirami, to make the announcement for the Founders Award.
The Founders Award is made to a graduating student who has not only excelled in his or her academic performance, but who also showed a strong commitment to the school and the chosen profession, has participated in extracurricular activities within and outside the school, has been humble, open-minded, and mature in dealings with faculty members and with fellow students. In other words, to give recognition to the graduate who most closely reflects the philosophy of the school as envisaged by the founders. May I call first Mrs. Nikat Mir, one of the founders of the school, to come and give away the award. The Founders Award this year, goes to Shehbaz Khan Zubairi. Let me also tell you that except for a very small handful of people, nobody else knows about it. The announcement is made at the convocation, so it's a surprise for everyone.
The valedictory speech will be presented by Shehbaz Khan Zubairi from the Department of Communication Design. He has graduated with 88.78%, which was the highest amongst the graduating class of 1997.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Chairman and the members of the Board of Governors, the Honorable Convocation Speaker, Chairman Executive Committee, Executive Director, the esteemed faculty members, my fellow students, and ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. For any first-year student, 4 to 5 years of study seems like an insurmountable wall, and for us, that is exactly what it felt like. With the help of Almighty Allah and all our wonderful teachers, we finally managed to climb the wall and gather today as graduates. But with all honesty, we would pay any price to be transported back in time to recapture just once those lost memorable years here. The school's foundation and our foundation are one. The school provided the space, we filled it with our spirit. As the first batch of students to enter the new campus, which was under construction, we became a close-knit family, sharing all the joys and discomforts together. We made friends with carpenters, masons, and other workmen, whose spirit and work ethic we admired. The partially finished basement and the first floor was our new school, and we steadfastly forged ahead. We grew and the school grew, to finally see this day and moment. People say we have a strong academic program. I cannot agree more. but a few words about our athletic talents are in order. The girl teams won all the volleyball, softball, and throwball tournaments. The boys teams, on the other hand, well, less said than better. But losing to the faculty, oh, how could we? We talk about equality between the sexes. Let's hope the men here one day become as equal to women in sports. About those trips to Turkey, Cyprus, England, and India, it was fun reading Compton's and Britannica. And I sincerely hope the juniors get there next year. Where the graduating class is sitting now, there used to be a small tea stall. We used to saunter in to eat bakar khanis and gossip. That memory is deeply etched in our minds, not to mention the effects of the biting sand-laden winds on our faces. It appears to me that the stall was the roots, and now, as I turn my head, I see the branches. As qualified graduates who hold their heads up with honor and hold their spirits down with humility, we look forward to the opportunity to paying back this great institution. We have been drilled to develop an eye for detail. We would make Mr. Shahid Abdullah proud. But God have mercy on our parents when they go out selecting spouses for us. Well, joking aside, we recognize the sacrifices our parents made. The midnight prayers, the constant vigil, and the financial drain. Well, to our mothers and fathers, we stand today not to wave and cheer, but to salute you. Individual achievements mean a lot for personal satisfaction, but personally, I feel one feels proud if the entire batch performs well. That to me on the long run means a lot, and I'm proud to say that the batch of 98 had made a niche for itself in school's history. I congratulate each batch member on their success. My special tribute to my classmates from the Communication Design Department who have done the department proud by attaining 6 thesis distinctions out of a possible 7. Well done, all of you. We have proved that we can achieve anything by the grace of God when we strive for. A lot of tribute goes out to the people who created the utopia called Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture. Now we go out to the real Pakistan and beyond to build things anew. But first, we must muster courage to replace the old foundations. For this, we turn to all of you. You are our inspiration and our mentors. We shall never, ever be able to find enough words to express our deepest thanks and heartfelt gratitude to all our teachers, guest lecturers, and staff for having so patiently guided and supported us to the very door of success. We love you all. May the Almighty bless you. Thank you so much. Bye.
May I now request the Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Ahmed N. Jaffer, to present his concluding remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It is indeed my honor to participate in this morning's deliberations with our chief guest, Mr. Kirmani, the graduates of 1997, parents, members of the board, faculty and administration, and all of you. Thank you for being with us. I do not wish to keep our graduating class much longer from sharing these unique moments with their dear ones. Young creators, your institution has tried to enable and encourage you to act in accordance with your moral impulses, to render service to others, and to be creatively engaged using and developing what you have been blessed with. I need not caution you to be prepared for the cruel contradictions of the real world. Your redemption lies in your ability to distinguish between good work and bad work. You should under no circumstances accept the latter. I shall offer a couple of simple examples of the conflicts we face in life and how we struggle to deal with them at the Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture. Mr. Bilgrami has described the institution's efforts to forge an identity of its own within our heritage and culture. We do not, however, ignore the intrinsic value of methods and tools available to us from the industrialized world. Our challenge is to blend these with our traditional practices, yet to retain the integrity of our human values. This dilemma exists because of the total disregard of the human aspects at work in the name of progress. The modern world ensures that the worker's body should not accidentally or otherwise be damaged. If injured, he or she may claim compensation. But I ask, what of her soul and spirit? And the real life response is, if his work reduces him to an android, that is just part of his job. The spiritual damage is simply ignored. As a result, machines have become as much like people as people have become like machines. They pulsate with life while humans become robotic. The world of work today is the result of 50 years of systematic de-skilling. In the West, maybe 100 years. Why take the trouble to nurture a craftsman when it makes business sense to induct a machine operator? The only skills worth acquiring are those which the industry demands and needs. Otherwise, they are simply worthless. Our workers cannot survive outside this system. Therefore, they lose and have lost the spirit of self-reliance and dignity of their labors. In this respect, the Indus Valley differentiates itself. Not only are we reviving dying crafts, but we are also trying to sustain the artisans. The Craftsman's Mela, held a few days ago, is one such event. For many of our visitors, it was an eye-opener. The blind pursuit of economies of scale has robbed us of these items of daily use that are created with human passion. To my colleagues in business, I quote an industrialist of the subcontinent. He said, "Industry without art is brutality." Why? Because it damages the soul and the spirit of the worker. He also aptly said, it is not as if the artist were a special kind of person. Every person is a special kind of artist. This brings us yet to another contradiction of our times. Economists, planners, and most of us struggle to keep pace with indices of economic comparison, the most common being growth, growth, and growth. To cite one of the central paradoxes of industrial development, I quote John Adams of University College London, who said, "As access to cars increases, so do the problems of congestion and urban sprawl." The result is what he calls fast lives with low resolution. Progress is measured in units of consumption, even if that means depleting the limited resources of Mother Earth and desecrating her. Our ecosystem is breaking down, yet the redoubling of efforts by businesses employing global media technologies, increasing consumerism at continuously faster speeds can be described in just one word: fanaticism. In contrast, Mr. Kirmani has dedicated himself to ecological conservation in Pakistan. His courageous efforts are being emulated by the founders of our institution. The transportation and restoration of the Nasrwanji building is an example. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure as friends of this institution, parents of students and graduates, you will be eager to see this exceptional feat be accomplished in our city. This project has yet to commence as we need 10 million rupees. Please participate with us in preserving this chapter of our common heritage by extending your generous support. In concluding, dear graduates, the difference in real life between success, failure, and mediocrity is what you do with the knowledge and skills that you have acquired and shall continue to do so. Our so-called educated leaders at Oxbridge, Harvard, Berkeley, Sanders have consistently pillaged our institutions and thus defiled the dreaming spires of their alma maters. Unlike them, I'm confident you will do us proud. Remember to stay in touch with us. Your institution is still in formative stage. It needs your guidance and support as you move forward in your lives. This shall enrich the experiences of graduating classes to come. I wish you truly the best in all your future endeavors. God bless and thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I request you to declare the convocation closed?
I declare the convocation closed.
The graduating students are requested to assemble near the stage for the tree planting ceremony immediately after the departure of the convocation procession. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly remain seated. After the departure of the convocation procession, further announcements will be made. The Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture would like to express its deep gratitude to the people who have helped in making possible today's event, particularly to Mrs. Anjum Parvez of Roots and Shoots. Ladies and gentlemen, a unique exhibition of traditional textiles is on display at the second level, and selected works of the graduating students may be viewed on the first level. This exhibition of traditional textiles has been on since December 4 and will end tomorrow evening. Over these last few days, it has been viewed by thousands of people from across the city. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us for tea at the main cafeteria level behind you.